Hailing frequencies open, and welcome back for another episode of our live Twitch watch party of Star Trek, the original series. Hooray, everyone! Welcome, cast! For those of you who are watching this in the future or past via YouTube, I don't know how it works. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on a podcast, hey, go to twitch.tv/non-productive, follow our channel, like us, even give us a subscription, hey, and you'll get notified when we go live again, and you can watch the episode along with us instead of just hearing our boring commentary. This week, we are watching a brand new episode, which is how it works, Where No Man Has Gone Before. I had to write it down because I kept calling it To Boldly Go. I don't know. So this is another episode. I have no idea what this is about. Other than it being part of the infamous tagline of the show, no clue. Ken and Katie, I assume you both know this episode.
It's the pilot. Again.
Is it the pilot? It's another pilot. Hey, we're back on.
So this one was filmed as the pilot. There's even an unaired version of this episode as well that they didn't use. It got recut to what eventually gets aired.
Everyone's in shorts and wife beaters. It's ridiculous. All right, cool. Oh, wife beaters. We don't call those that anymore, do we?
No.
I wish we couldn't do this. What is the real name for it? Undershirt?
It's a tank top. It's a
tank top. Really? Ken, don't just throw your arms up like you're embarrassed to know me. You're supposed to help me here. All right, be embarrassed to know me. I apologize. And really, just misogyny is just built in. It really sucks. It's the horrible, horrible society we're living in. Actually, that's a good point. Watch Charlie X. I'm sorry, what was that, Ken?
It all depends on when and where you grew up. That's all, Frank.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, watch Charlie X because we delve into this, and it is disgusting. Anyways, sorry about that. Back to this. Where No Man Has Gone Before. It's another pilot. Ken, do you have any special insight on this before we begin the episode or anything along those lines? Ken, Katie, you both are the big geekies.
I vaguely remember majority of the characters in this, and I know it because being a comic book fan, and I'm amazed that I never did it on our Near Mint show, but there was a really cool sequel comic book to this story that when the episode's over, I'll probably get into.
All right, cool. I'm excited to hear that. So excited to see this episode. Also, did you catch that I called the Trekkies geekies? Yeah. Not a good day for me. Not a good day for me at all. Katie, anything to say before we go to the episode?
I just want everyone to notice why this is a little weird and the fact that it was filmed first as the pilot, because you'll notice.
Is it noticeable?
Why do things look a little different?
Oh, all right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I can't wait. We're going to, again, we don't MSC3K this. We're not going to be talking during the show, but for the most part, we'll be chatting. Yeah, we're going to watch the episode right now and then come back with commentary in a few minutes after it's over. All right, stay tuned. We're back. Katie's being attacked by a mob. All right, Where No Man Has Gone Before. Spock's makeup is a little off. I've been drinking. I'm sorry. Yeah,
I want to say something.
Okay.
So I'm generally pretty big advocate for creators kind of know their stuff best and not like super into studio meddling. You know, it tends to be not productive or helpful to the series. If I was a studio exec, I don't know if I would have ever chosen this as the first episode, let alone an episode to air.
How was this even an option? This was not good. This was, guys, this is such a, and it's got the where and the tagline in it and everything. This is so not good. And we were talking last time about how Craig X was, no, not Craig X.
Charlie.
Why do I want him to be Craig? Charlie X. Did I call him Craig X last time too? I probably did. Charlie X was basically a recap of like other episodes. I think that was similar. This is the same story. My wife walked in while we were watching and said, this is the same story as the last thing you guys saw. She is correct. She's correct. Why did they do the same? Why did they pitch the same story 4 times? They're like, godly aliens.
And then airing it out of order is crazy too, because all the cast is different. And it makes sense because like half of them are dead by the end of the episode if it aired first and then you had to replace the cast. But
yeah, there are people who show up and like, hey, you know me, I should have been on every episode you've seen so far. Never met me before. I'm going to die this episode. Don't worry about it. Also, I am the doctor. I'm an old guy. Real old. Uncomfortably old. Also, the blonde doctor who, lady doctor.
Psychiatrist.
I only know.
Psychiatrist.
Well, hold on. I only know from a Rodney Dangerfield movie whose name I can't remember. Ken?
Well, her name's Dr. Elizabeth Denner, but I got a whole thing about this moving forward as we get into it. It's Sally Kellerman.
Okay.
The actress.
This
Sally
was
Kellerman
a
and Dr. Elizabeth
disappointment.
Denner.
All right, so who wants to go first? Anybody? Show of hands.
I'll go first.
All right, James, go.
I didn't like it, and it's really frustrating because this is generally my jam. I love a good story about a man being turned into a god, and it's very similar, obviously, to Charlie X, but like this is like they go heavy on the god overtones, right? So
This say God so much. I'm like, how could this ever have aired? I'm shocked they ever got it on the air.
I feel like it has all the interesting elements to work, right? Mitchell and Kirk having this previous relationship, but you don't get any of that like beforehand. You don't get to see them be friendly. You just kind of find out that maybe Mitchell was a manipulative bastard when he took Kirk's class, right? You get to see he holds like the hand of that yeoman for that one scene, but then he's like flirting with the doctor the whole time. Is that because he knows that she's going to get the glowing eye thing? I'm not 100% sure, right? Like, and Katie was confused about this too. Like, have they ever been to this area before? What was the deal with Spock listening to the computer? Right? Like, obviously,
you can also see the screen in this microfiche thing, and then he was flipping through, and he was like, he's reading faster than a rate that we could ever see before. I'm like, I flipped through books faster than that. How do you know he's reading it? I was bored going, yes. No one's reading this Aragon knockoff.
They did a good job with the foreshadowing. Good job for Star Trek with the foreshadowing of the ESP, which I think was fine, but it's super weird waiting for the doctor to get the powers, which she gets later, which there's no real explanation for.
It takes longer to settle in on a woman.
Right? Like maybe. And
what's
then
his name? Gary. I wrote down Gary. I want to know how bad I am with names. Was it Gary Mitchell? Was it
Gary Mitchell?
Yeah.
I don't know. I could call him Mitchell.
Yeah, because you keep calling him Mitchell, and I wrote down Gary ? Exclamation point.
So then he's Gary Mitchell.
Just too many lame names for gods so far. Charlie, Gary.
Then like one of Kirk's plans is to blow him up, like the whole planet, the whole unmanned station on the planet.
Kirk's plan was to do nothing to him because
it was just to maroon him.
If I leave, yeah. It was like, I'm going to do nothing, but I might maroon him, but also let me leave a bomb down there, but also let it be a kind of bomb that a guy has to be there to push the button so he also dies. Those were all of Kirk's plans at the same time.
So this is the feeling you get from a pilot, right? It not even the Cage, which somehow feels more fully formed Star Trek than this, which is strange because this comes after the Cage.
Yeah. Well, it was aired afterwards. It was made afterwards too, but they still weren't quite. They have not figured things out yet. Anybody else want to go?
Well, it's weird too with the timing error. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Katie.
No, I was just saying everything about it was weird, and I just wondered, did they not care about continuity back then? Like, let's just stick this in here. It doesn't make any sense, but let's do it.
Well, so the networks had control over airing order or anything like that. Roddenberry makes it, and then the networks decide what to do with it. So Roddenberry or the creative teams don't have any control at this point over, we'll just cut this episode then or something
I
like
don't
that.
need to make the episode to understand it doesn't make sense where it is.
My notes are: this is boring, unsexy,
Very boring,
and has bad contacts. Boring, unsexy, and has bad contacts, and I mean that by the contacts in their eyes, which were obviously painful for the actor to like.
Oh,
they're blinking all the
at
time.
one point, there was a whole scene where he was just staring down with his eyes half closed, and I'm like, he can't open them. He can't look at them.
He can't. They were too thick. He couldn't open his eyes. So like it wasn't even impressive because it looked like he was like half asleep the whole time.
Yeah, it was definitely those super hard cut contacts. But it was also funny too watching him and Dr. Denner try to move around at times because they couldn't see anything and they had to reach for each other. So they would like slowly like reach out to touch each other so that they knew that they were actually touching each other.
I think there may have also been a little element of complete lack of chemistry or chemistry that existed 50 years ago. Here, I'm impressed. I know it's a hard job for actors to do sci-fi generally or genre generally because it's so weird and it's so like alien. Like a lot of the stuff they're dealing with isn't at all on the human spectrum. And then you're doing it through those contexts, what makes it even worse. But there are moments when they were just staring at each other in the hospital bed where their eye lines were nowhere near each other. Someone was looking down their nose and it was just watch it again. Don't watch it again. Absolutely do not watch it again. But if you had to, watch it again and pay attention. It's very horrible. I have something good to say if we want to transition, unless somebody wants to keep going. But I think this is yet another episode with more significant horror elements that I did not expect in Star Trek. So heavy. And there were a lot of cool horror elements in this, including the reading of a journal from a lost ship. That could have been like, that's haunted stuff right there. He was reading that's why Spock was reading things out, because it was better than having some other kind of get Nimoy to act this thing out, because otherwise, ugh. So he's reading out the last journal for the lost ship. The beat of the respirator. Again, if you are going to watch this again, listen to the machine that's monitoring Gary or Mitchell, or possibly Gary Mitchell. But listen to the sounds it's making. It's I think sampled in horror movies later. I think it's sampled in a bunch of sci-fi horror movies, like the more recent Aliens movies. There's like this kind of dissonant beep. It's really interesting. Pay attention to that. It's really cool. So that's it. That's all I got. That's literally all I have got. No. Oh wait, why did they leap into? As soon as he gets powerful enough, we'll all be annoyances to him and he'll kill us all? Was it that Spock was paying attention to the last 4 episodes? That I will buy. If he was just like, have you been
Katie?
I had a comment when we were watching. So what is this the 3rd episode?
4th? I think it depends on
if you count the cage.
3rd that isn't a 0 pilot. Yeah.
I love Spock, and I'm glad he's protecting everyone, but I just feel like he jumps to the conclusion of just kill it a little too fast for me. And I understand he lacks as much empathy, but it just seems like an issue. Like, he's like, that salt thing, I don't care what it is. Kill it. This teenage boy, I don't care. Kill it. And like, this guy I've worked with for years, please just kill it. Like,
he asked for the rifle.
In this one, he's ready to just kill whatever might be a danger.
Oh my God! Let's rewatch the Cage and see even if Proto Spock was like, let's kill it.
To be fair,
yeah,
I was gonna say, to be fair, they should have definitely just killed this one.
I guess, yeah. Maybe it's self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe he just wanted to become like all powerful because they kept thinking about killing him so much.
I don't know. The woman god understood what needed to be done.
I mean, I think that's the through line for at least these last 2 episodes, possibly even the 0 pilot. Yeah.
So I have a thing I liked.
Okay.
We got to see Scotty for the first time, and he's a character that remains.
For some reason, he needed to stand on the deck and listen to everyone talk with that other group of strangers.
He did. But Scotty.
There
Yeah.
are some other interesting things. I didn't get to say it over the last episode, but we're still in that weird thing where Leonard Nimoy is trying to find Spock, or the writers are trying to find Spock, because this is the second week where he actually breaks character and smiles or laughs a little bit, and they both happened while playing chess.
Interesting.
The other thing too, the first time that we see Scotty, it's cool. But did anyone catch the fact that Sulu's role was actually altered as well?
Different? Yeah, I did.
He's a physicist.
Yeah,
Oh, in
I
this
saw him when he was
episode,
on the
he's a
bridge. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. God.
Uh,
Just a slight aside, I led this episode or this part of the show off by saying that Spock's makeup was off. It definitely felt more jaundiced than normal, and I think part of that is because his uniform also was more jaundiced than he was basically one uniform color of sickly yellow.
He's like a tomato color.
I guess he's just not pleasant to look
with
at.
the drastic changes in the uniforms and everything else. It actually made me look it up. This was the first episode shot after the cage. And the reason why it probably looks different is because it was shot a year before they went and shot the rest of the other shows.
Oh, wow. A whole year. Wow.
Yeah, well, Roddenberry was working on another pilot at the time, right? Police something?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I hope Roddenberry pitched everything like, it's a Western, but in a police precinct. It's a Western, but it's in space. And then Paramount looks at this and is like, what about this is a Western? This is your fourth episode about God and killing God. It's the 60s, man. We can't air this.
So Frank,
Black woman. You could sample that. If you want to at home, sample it. It's fine.
So going back, talking about Dr. Denner, Sally Kellerman. Do you remember what other big role she was also known for? It was just a few years later. She would take on an iconic role. She
looks so memorable. I know I've seen her in things other than that Rodney Dangerfield movie, but I do not remember. I think if you say the name, I'm going to be like, oh.
Well, you guys are familiar with the show MASH, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So before the series, it was actually a movie by Roger Altman. Yeah. Sally Kellerman was the original Major Houlihan.
Yeah.
Okay. But there's still some more Star Trek history to MASH.
Okay.
Because John Schuck, who was Captain Painless Wildowski, the guy who was trying to commit suicide or wanted to commit suicide, and they had the whole procession for him. He's the Klingon ambassador in Star Trek 4 and 6 that puts Kirk on trial.
That's interesting.
Also, Father Mulcahy was played by Rene Auberjonois, who would later go on to play Odo.
Yep.
All right, I knew that one actually. I forgot that I knew that. Oh my god! Now all the makeup is coming off, and I remember. Oh, Odo. That's awesome. It's especially messed up because like MASH the series kind of overplanted my memories of MASH the movie so much, except for Donald Sutherland.
Exactly.
Yeah, but like it takes me a minute. It takes me a beat to be like, oh yeah, the other person who played that character. Cool. Yep. So this has been a rare miss for me in Star Trek. I did not care for this episode, even though, I mean, aside from the fact that the plot is the same one we've seen now maybe 3 or 4 times, it's just also not really well done. That tombstone, what was the whole thing about?
So, you mean the name?
Yes. Where did the name come from?
So we had James R. Kirk. It was an error, actually. It was the first one shot. They didn't have the Bible yet, and Roddenberry even acknowledges it was a mistake. And up until he passed, if he was ever asked about it, he would say Gary Mitchell had godlike powers, but at his base he was human, and he made a mistake when he made the tombstone.
So what I like, my twist on that is that it's like a little bit of passive aggression. It's like when you intentionally get your friend's name wrong because you're like, "Oh, are you important? Oh, well, I can't remember." Well, anyways, I really have fun doing this show with Jim, Candace, Kevin, and the rest of the non-pro folk. It was really hard for me to come up with different names for
your mistaken name for James is Jim.
Listen, I don't have. I'm going to share this. I watched this. Iman is in the background watching me watch this. I don't know why she isn't on camera, but as soon as the tombstone showed up and it said James Kirk on it, and she doesn't know anything about any of these characters, she's like, James, that's a basic name. And she waited for a minute and it was like, oh, James.
Well, does she know his middle name though? It's a lot more
She doesn't know that he's a character. She doesn't any of it. She has nothing. We got to get her on the next episode. Yeah, we need to.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, but yeah. So I'm sorry, but
no. Actually, another thing in regards to that Tombstone, going into Star Trek expanded universe or extended universe. One of my favorite comic book writers, Peter David, wrote a bunch of Star Trek novels, and he still writes. And one of my favorite novels was a book called Q Squared, which revisits certain characters from the old series and brings them back. But during the course of the story, there's multiple universes and timelines. And to compensate for the mistake of this pilot episode, Peter David pretty much set up in one of the parallel universes the descriptions of the uniforms, physicist Sulu, and the alternate Kirk was James R. Kirk.
Peter David has so much time on his hands. He is super prolific, and I like him a lot. But I feel like he's the kind of guy who would spend a month thinking, I'm going to make this work. He's actually doing Star Trek trivia right now on Facebook. If you follow him or are friends with him, he is posting daily Star Trek trivia. So I assume in honor of our Twitch show. So why don't you follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/nonproductive, and be one of these great people who we have still not updated. We'll update it. Oh, you best believe we will, with these lovely people. And then everyone's going to try to sneak in and do their thing underneath that. But this has been a fun experience, even though this wasn't a great episode. And to make up for that, I say we attempt for the next few minutes to do a Brady Bunch. Ready? You guys ready for that, everyone? So I'm gonna.
We don't have a middle person.
It doesn't matter, Kate. It doesn't matter, Katie.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Oh, hi, James. How are you? And I.
Oh, hi, Frank.
Hey. I was high fiving you.
Brady Bunch Along is next.
What episode is next? I don't know.
The Naked Time.
Yeah.
I don't actually remember this episode, but the title gets me excited.
Oh God, The Naked Time next in an all nude episode of the Pro on Twitch going up against the terms of service. Hooray!
Hey, real quick, for those people that might have liked Gary Mitchell and don't agree with you guys apparently hating him.
Do you not agree with us?
Listen, I have a story that might change your mind. It was actually pretty cool. Back in '96 for the 30th anniversary, Marvel Comics had the rights to Star Trek and did a Star Trek X-Men crossover, which had them go back to the planet, and Proteus, Moira McTaggart's son, the evil mutant, actually uses the body of Gary Mitchell to feed on and use his power. That's pretty interesting.
Because they keep referring to him as a mutant. They keep referring to him as a mutant in this episode, I assume, for the eventual Marvel Comics tie-in, even though I don't think it was maybe a few years off. That's super cool. Yes. This is why you do a watch party with a bunch of geeks. Someone's going to come out with a gem that just nails it, makes it all worth it. This hour was worth it. Hooray. I love it. All right. Subscribe and follow us for more updates on this lovely show. We're all going to wave to the camera now as I struggle to find the off button on this machine. This doohickey. What? Is the moth still coming at you, Katie?
No, it's actually
right there. Down.